So we're going to look at route inspection again, but we're going to allow Postman Pat to start and end in different places. So we're going to drop him off for his round, let him do his round, pick him up from somewhere else. Okay? So you've seen this town before. This is the town we were delivering from before, but he doesn't have to start at A anymore. He can start wherever he likes. Any ideas where you'd like him to start?
I'd like him to start at D.
D. Okay. Any particular reason why you picked D as the start?
I think because from the previous video we were saying because there was an odd number of pathways there, you have to go in and out, in and out. Just kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I think to go there.
Yeah. So if we head off from D in that direction, say.
Yeah.
Then on our round we can come down this road, and then off down this road, and then back in to D via this road and back out, and we haven't got trapped at D.
Yeah.
So by the same logic, where might we end?
G.
G, yeah, because that was another odd one. So if we're going to end, if we're going to finalise here and then stop,
yeah,
then during our round we might have come into G along this road and gone out again and come in again and gone out again, and then finally we stop.
Yeah.
When we get there. So do you reckon using this we've solved the problem? We can start at D, wander around the network, stop at G, don't have to do any repeats?
No, I think we still got a problem because, again, from the previous video, I know that at C and E we've got an odd number of paths as well, so I reckon we have to have a repeat or something.
So if we don't deal with this C thing, we go into E, out of E, then later when we come into E, we're stuck. Or we've got to repeat. So what we could do is stick an extra path between C and E.
Yeah.
So E is now even, 1, 2, 3, 4. C is now even, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
So we've got two odds, and they're going to be our start and our end. So we got the word Eulerian before, which I can never spell. Eulerian. So an Eulerian graph is traversable, meaning that you can start somewhere and wander around, or with a pen, not take your pen off, and get back where you started. And this town is not Eulerian, and we had to put a couple of extra roads on to make it Eulerian. What we've got here, when we're allowed to start and stop in different places, this is called semi-Eulerian, or semi-traversable. And an example of that you might have seen at school is this thing what you have to try and draw without taking your pen off.
Yeah.
Now you've got an even node here, 4 arcs coming out of that, and an even node here, but 2 odd ones. So if you start somewhere and try to draw around this graph without taking your pen off and end where you started, you won't be able to do it. But if you allow yourself to start on the odd one and finish on the odd one, then you will be able to traverse the graph without taking your pen off.
So what you're saying is, if I have no odds at all, that's called Eulerian.
Yep, no odds.
That means I can start in one place and finish at the same place without repeating myself.
Yes.
If I've got a pair, just one pair of odds, then that's called semi-Eulerian, which means I must start at one of those odds in order for me to get all the way around without repeating, but I'll end up at one of the other odds. But then if I have more than one pair of odds, then I've got a problem, and that's called a non-Eulerian problem.
Non-traversable.
But
in which case, arcs need to be added.
Yes, to make it Eulerian.
Exactly. Which you can only do in pairs, because if you've got 4 odds, then by joining up 2 of the odds, you make them even. And you could join up the other 2 odds and make them even as well, or you could only join up 2 of them and have semi-Eulerian. If you've got 3 odds, you're screwed. Because one odd could be a start point, one odd could be a finish point, but then you've got this spare odd, and you haven't got another odd to pair it up with, so
what, you have to repeat that twice or something?
Well, you can't, the only way of doing it would be to put what's called a loop on the odd one. No, actually, that wouldn't work either. Because if you've got odd, like 3, if you put a loop on it, then you're adding 2 more edges, one going out and one going in, which means it's still odd. So the only way to make it even is to have something coming out of it, but then that thing coming out needs to go into something else. Now, if the thing it's going into isn't odd, then it must have been even. And now you've made it odd.
Yeah.
Well, you've made it odd.
So you just can't do it.
So you've evened up this one, but you've odded up that one. So you can't do it.
Yeah.
No, so you need pairs. So we're going to help Postman Pat choose how to pair, how to choose where to start and where to stop. So we've got the table of results that we filled in previous video where we're doing the full root inspection algorithm.
Okay.
Now in this scenario we're not interested in totals because we're not making it Eulerian, so we can totally disregard that right hand column, and we just look at the individual pairs and we say which of those do we want to repeat.
Okay, so I reckon, because that's the smallest.
Yep, so smallest individual entry is DE35. So if we join up D and E on the graph,
Yeah.
then D, yep, so D is no longer odd, it's now even.
Yeah.
E is no longer odd, but which two are still odd?
G and C?
Yes, so they need to be where we start and stop. Okay, so we have to start and stop at the odd ones.
Yeah.
So in terms of the exam, what we're writing is how we chose the smallest. The smallest is 35.
Yeah.
So we're going to repeat DE. And that means we've still got C and G odd, so we're going to start and end at C and G.
Yeah.
And the new total will be the old total of all of the roads plus the repeat that we're doing, which is 35, and then don't forget, obviously, the units.
Okay.
So you should now be able to whiz round, starting, you can choose whether to start at C or G.
Okay, so I'll start
It should be fairly simple to go round and finish at C.
As long as I don't mess up. That might be it. I've made that mess up, but we'll see. Yeah, and then I can repeat it.
Yeah, there we go. Sorted. Finish at C. Great. Okay. So, little recap of what we're basically doing here. We're making the route inspection algorithm makes a network traversable, which is called Eulerian, and that means that you can walk along each edge once and finish where you started. But what we're doing now is making it semi-Eulerian. To make it semi-Eulerian, we still start by identifying the odd vertices, considering all the different pairings, but this time we're going to pick the smallest individual entry, not look at the totals. We're going to start and end at the nodes which remain odd, so they're not part of the repeat, and then total length will be the original total plus the repeated rows.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to try this one. This has got a little restriction on it. We are going to have to start at C. So the question is, where should he end in order to minimise the total route? But don't focus, well, we are going to answer the question, but in the exam, always think, oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that, always think of this structure to your answer.
Okay.
And we are going to answer the question, where should he end, but the structure is always the same, and you're getting the marks from the same amount of content. So what is the smallest individual entry? What are we going to repeat? Where are we starting and ending? What is the new total?
Okay. So BC is the smallest.
Yep.
So that's 68, which is BC.
Yep, so we're going to repeat
B and C.
Well, we're going to repeat.
BC?
Yeah, we're repeating an arc, BC.
We'll call that BC.
Yeah.
We have to start at C, right?
Yeah.
Because you said that.
Yeah.
Which means our end, 1, 2, 3, what are they? E, H, B and C. So I have to finish at H, is that right?
Well, that's where we put the total.
Oh, sorry.
First of all, we're thinking about where we're going to end. H. So if we look back at the notes, where we start and end is the nodes which remain odd.
Yeah.
So they're not part of the pairing.
Yeah.
So of the repeat, yeah? So what we did
here
was exactly, so you had C being odd, like that, so, and you had B being odd, and you've joined up BC.
Yeah.
So now B and C are no longer odd, but E and H are still odd.
Yes.
So if we repeat BC, then we have to start and end at E and H.
I see.
Now we've been told we've got to start C.
Yeah.
So this choice, even though it is the best choice, ideally, we can't actually have because we have to start at C. So in an ideal world, yes, we'd repeat BC, we'd start and finish at E and H.
Okay.
But it's not an ideal world. We have to start at C.
So we have to start at C, and the next smallest then, so we'll disregard that one.
Yeah.
We disregard that one, disregard.
Yeah, can't have anything with a C in it.
Either 150 or EB 95, so 95.
Yeah. So when we're starting at C, C needs to remain odd.
Mm-hmm.
When we choose a pair to pair up, those two letters, those two notes become even.
Yeah.
So we are looking for the smallest, and we'd need to write this in the exam to show that we understand what we're doing. The smallest, not including C,
Yeah.
is.
Cool.
Okay, so the smallest not including C is 95.
And therefore,
So we're going to repeat
EB.
Now we're not going to repeat EB. Have a look at your graph. There is no such thing as EB then.
We're going to repeat.
There is no EB.
EDB.
We're going to repeat ED.
ED and then
and yes.
DB.
And DB.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to start at C because we've got told to.
Rub that out there.
So what's the other remaining odd? Yeah, that's it. That's what we're repeating.
Cool.
So what's the other remaining odd vertex that we're going to end at? H. Yeah.
So end at H. Start
and the new total will be the old
original.
total plus 95. Miles, kilometres, blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the route would be C. Must start at C.
Yeah.
And then just whiz round.
And we're going to finish at
Finishing
H.
at H.
So, alright, and repeat. There we go.
Perfect. And obviously, what the examiner needs is that list of nodes. So whatever it was, C, B, D, A, F, G, whatever, blah blah blah.
Cool.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Cool. Oh, shit.